guys, being able to make a living in the outdoors as a professional angler, as a videographer, traveling around, I've gotten to see some really cool things. I get to do some really cool stuff, and it's really fun. And one of the things that I've always wanted to do, and I know some of you have wanted me to do this, I finally got the opportunity to go up north. Go where the brown fish live.
That's a nice one. And I just caught it.
You know, when you get to Sturgeon Bay, one of the first things you see is that the water is clear. Now, being from Texas, I'm used to a little dingy watercolor, maybe a greenish tint to it, stained, I guess a lot of people would say. But when you go up there, and when we got to the boat ramp, it was immediately just like, well, I can see the bottom 10 feet. And you can see fish swimming around. That's the amazing thing when you go to Sturgeon Bay. You don't just go up there and see rocks and algae. You see the brown beasts cruising around. And it really is an experience that you cannot have on any other lake in this country. It only happens there where these giant smallmouth swim around in herds. I went up there to film a show. You know, we were filming the Fisherman's Handbook with Wade Middleton. It eventually got to a point during our 2 days there where Wade just kind of looks at me and he goes, just put the camera down, pick up a rod. And you don't have to tell me twice to pick up a fishing rod. We had caught so many fish that it really didn't matter how many more 3-pounders we caught on camera. You can't fit them all in the show. So for me to get the opportunity then to go fishing and just enjoy it, it was a unique experience. And it was a lot different than largemouth. You know, we think about our largemouth down here, bigger fish, they're big and they're mean, but they're nothing like these smallmouth. And there's so many swimming around in the water, so many opportunities. You don't get tired of casting. You're always looking at the next shoal or hump, or actually looking at the fish going, wow, I'm gonna catch a 4 or 5 pounder right here.
They are. There's another nice one.
Go find some fresh.
Great Lake Smalley.
The largest one I caught was, you know, probably 4.5 pounds. But seeing the sheer average size of 3 to 4 pound fish was, I mean, it'd take you back. You're like, how can there be this many 3 and 4 pounders swimming around? You think you'd eventually just run into a little pack of 1 pounders, but you don't. They're just big, and their mouths, they're like the size of bluegill mouths, and their bodies are like English bulldogs. It's really hard to describe unless you actually go there. And I've caught smallmouth in a lot of other places around the South, and particularly Texas, you know, Tennessee, Alabama, those places. They're not the same. They're not the same fish. These fish have an attitude problem, an eating disorder, and they're absolutely a blast to catch.
Nice. Smallmouth. Wade's got one. We're all catching them. This is an incredible place.
You know, when you go up there and you see how clear the water is, you really have to think, I got to put the flipping stick away, and I've got to break out the spinning rod. You know, it's really a key tool up there, because the water's so clear you have to throw a light line. You're gonna catch more fish definitely throwing the light line, and to throw the light line you need the spinning gear. So that was something we really had to keep in mind up there. And the drop shot, you know, I'm not a big drop shotter guy, but I got to experiment with different baits. And normally when I drop shot, I throw something like a twitch worm or you know, something a little bit in length, you know, a bigger worm on there. And I wasn't really used to throwing the shorter style smelt imitators. It's really what they call them up there. They have a lot of smelt gobies, these little, you know, short little dudes. And the smallmouth up there, they're so compact and big and ripped, but their mouths are still small. Their mouths are still small. So for them to try to eat a half-ounce jig is very difficult. I mean, it is hard for them to eat that and for you to get a good hook set. So we had to adjust to that throwing our baits. And two of the key things we did was the drop shot and also a swim bait, a small swim bait. And that was something that Mark Kortz kind of showed us how to do. And he was throwing it on a Dobbins medium light spinning rod with 8-pound braided line and then an 8-pound fluorocarbon leader. And that combination was key to be able to throw out as long as you could on these clear water areas, these flats where these smallmouth were starting to gang up, and being able to throw it that far and still get the hook set. And then the other thing was, when they hit it, they would hit it so mean and fast and aggressive, you wanted a little bend in your rod to be able for them to load up on it before you really stuck the hook in them. So the Dobbins, and I was you know, happily surprised that he was a Dobbins guy, because I was familiar with the rods. Those rods with the combination of that and the little swim baits, they were killer. They were killer. So spinning gear was very important. It was something a little bit different than what I'm used to normally, but hey, that's what getting out of your element and learning new things is all about. So my favorite experience going up there was when we had gotten the magic on camera, and everybody knew it, like, this is going to be a good one. And I got to pick up the rod. And I'd watched the scenario go down so many times at that point, I knew what I was gonna do. But I saw the brown fish go up to a bed, and I threw out there, and the fish ate it so fast and was going off 20 feet to my left before I could even get the handle engaged. And that's just how aggressive these smallmouth are. But to hook that fish and you know, have the guys ragging on me because the fish was swimming out of the bed before I even set the hook, and you know, I would consider myself a pretty decent bed fisherman. That was a really funny moment, and when getting that fish in, it was something special, man. It was something special. To hold those fish and realize I just traveled 22 hours up to this place. I'm totally out of my element. I've worked really hard. Now I've picked up the rod. I've got the smallmouth in. It's picture time. That was the special moment of the trip for me.